Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Saturday. No, it's not. It is Friday, September 26th, 2025. Sorry, getting a little bit ahead of myself there with the grand final tomorrow. And of course, it's a public holiday today. So just got out of bed thinking today's Saturday, but it is Friday, September the 26th. And yeah, can't wait for tomorrow. Big game. The Lions and the Cats and the mighty Melbourne Storm in the prelim this weekend as well against the Sharks. So a big weekend for football. All right, let's get back to boxing. And on this day, let's go back to, where are we? Geez, you'd think I'd be organised here, wouldn't you? Where are we? All right, 1964, Mexico's Vicente Saldivar won the world featherweight title by knocking out Cuba's Ultiminio Ramos in the 12th round in Mexico. 1972, Bob Foster, the great light heavyweight champion, defended that belt by knocking out Chris Finnegan in the 14th round. 1981, at the Golden Nugget Casino in Atlantic City, Matthew Saad Muhammad defended the world light heavyweight title by knocking out Jerry Martins in the 11th round. 1986, I remember this one, Puerto Rico's Hector Macho Camacho defeated Cornelius Balza Edwards by decision. That was in Miami, Florida for the world lightweight title. 1998, Lennox Lewis defended the heavyweight title by beating Zelshko Mavrovic, that's how you pronounce it, on points. Took place in Connecticut. In 2015, Deontay Wilder defended his heavyweight title with a knockout of France's Johan Duhaupas in the 11th round. I wasn't aware that he fought in England. Well, there you go. I forgot about that. And on the same card in 2020 in, is it Uncasville or Uncasville? Or I'll call it Uncasville, Connecticut. Another one in Connecticut. Actually, that might have been, oh no, that was 2 years earlier, Lennox Lewis. Same place. There you go. That Lennox Lewis fight took place at the same place as this one 2 years later, Uncasville, Connecticut. Never heard of it. The Charlo brothers, Jamal Charlo defended the middleweight title by defeating Ukrainian Sergei, let's go, Derenvy and Chenko. These names, I know who the fighters are, obviously, I just can't pronounce the names. And his brother Jamal Charlo knocked out Hasan, what do I do there? Oh, I have just lost it. Where are we? There it is. Hasan Rosario in the 8th round to defend the super welterweight title. As I said, took place in Connecticut. And one more thing on that day. Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta fought in the, I think it was the 5th time. Where are we? The 5th and final time. I thought they fought six times actually. But it says here they only fought 5 times. Let me have a look at the records here. So they fought for the first time. I'm going to just quickly go through this, guys. Sorry to take up a lot of the episode here. They fought in 1942 and Ray Robinson won on points. They then fought in 1943 twice. Now, this was in the space of 3 weeks, if you can believe that. So Jake LaMotta beat Ray Robinson in February the 5th on points. 3 weeks later, on February 26th, Ray Robinson then won on points in return. So that's, what's that, 3? I'm sure it was 6. Then in 1945, Ray Robinson won again on points. What's that, number 4? In 1945, yes, it's definitely 6. For the 5th time, Ray Robinson won on points over 12 rounds. And then I know he stopped Jake LaMotta in the 6th fight. Let's see where that was. In 1951, there you go, the last fight, February 14th. That's right, it was a Valentine's Day massacre. Ray Robinson with a 13th round stoppage of Jake LaMotta. So that's the 6th fight there. Yeah, don't know what these history buffs got that wrong, but 6 fights. Today's was the 5th of that series. And as I said, Sugar Ray getting the points in the last fight where he stopped him on Valentine's Day. All right, well, I saw yesterday some more footage of the Tim Tszyu situation with Jeff Fenech. There's actually a little bit of footage of them moving around together. I think it's been taken when they've taken the photos to promote the change in team. The fallout's interesting. Not many negative people at all, which is surprising because in this industry, in this world in general, no matter what you do, there's always the naysayers and the negative people, and they always find a fault, and there's always a problem with something, and they'll find a way just to find something in it. But I didn't really see any negative comments yesterday at all, which is really surprising, especially when it comes to Jeff Fenech, because Jeff can divide a few people. But a lot of people saying, hey, don't necessarily agree with him as a trainer, but geez, as an advisor and mentor and everything else, that's a great decision. So that was really surprising because Jeff does cop it a fair bit on social media sometimes. So that was really good to see. Mike Altamura, the comments and the feedback have been overwhelmingly positive with Mike. He's got a lot of fans out there, if you want to call them, a lot of supporters who really welcome his input into Tim Tszyu's career, as do I, as I said yesterday, with Mike. But it was interesting to see Jeff actually go through some different punches, I suppose, and little movements with Tim. And look, that's a bold, well, I won't say it's bold, it's a big step for Tim after being world champion and Australia's poster boy for boxing and everything like that, that he would, I was going to say, be humbled just a little bit to sort of stand there and I mean, who better to take tips from than Jeff Fenech, by the way? But it'd be a tough one for him to stand there after everything he's done and say, all right, well, now I'm on camera, by the way. I'm gonna, and I know it was for our entertainment, but to actually stand there and have Jeff show him a few different maybe things that he'd done wrong. And Jeff's very passionate, and I don't think he would have held back at all. And you can see just in his body language, Jeff, as he's showing Tim just a few little, I think he's starting to sort of slip outside, which is, heaven forbid, might have worked against Fundora, to show little slips and just little things that I think he in the video, he sort of mentioned he'd learnt some of these things from Emmanuel Stewart, who is obviously one of the greatest trainers of all time, from the famous Kronk Gym. And I mean, it was only a minute or so of footage, but it was interesting just to see Tim standing there and Jeff sort of highlighting some stuff. And again, I know it was for the cameras, and I'm sure the photographers and the reporters there would have said, "Hey, just Jeff, go up and do a few things with Tim." But I'll be not surprised if Jeff has a bit of input into some things that Tim's doing, or maybe it was just Tim being polite, saying, all right, mate, I'll go through the motions and listen to you, but I'm going to wait till I get a serious trainer from overseas. But again, you can't get much better than Jeff Fenech. Jeff Fenech, in my opinion, the greatest fighter we've ever produced, and obviously has his opinions. He's very strong on those opinions, and I think Tim could do a lot worse than to listen to Jeff. But it was different. It was different to see Tim there with Jeff doing a few different movements and punches and all that sort of stuff. So if you haven't seen it, it's on, I might have seen it on the Herald Sun website from memory. I can't remember, on one of the sites. But yeah, as I said, the fallout or the feedback or whatever you might want to call it has been overwhelmingly positive for Tim. And look, the same people that have probably laid the boots into Tim for the last probably 12 to 18 months about what's happening in his career and his team and everything else, and everything that he does wrong, are probably now the most supportive ones, saying, hey, Tim, best of luck to you and for everything that you do going forward. And it's about time. I think the fact that he's actually made the change it's just garnered the support back. I mean, a lot of people jumped off. I couldn't believe what I was reading on social media after some of his most recent losses, but it was great to see that the Aussie fans, not just Aussie fans, well, I was going to say, yeah, mainly the Aussie fans, because the overseas fans are saying, well, too little, too late, it's all over for Tim. They're pretty brutal overseas, but here in Australia, everyone's saying, hey, best of luck, Tim. Really hope you can get it together again and get back to the top. And the first step is realising, of course, you have issues in your team and then doing something about it. And at least he's done that, and I fully support what he's done. Now, I still stand by my comments that maybe it was a bit harsh on Glenn, and maybe Glenn, in my opinion, but end of the day, that's now history, and he couldn't have anyone better than Mike Altamura taking that role, and I'm sure he will be a fantastic addition to, do we call it Team Tszyu 3? Because that's almost what it is, isn't it? So we'll see, but best of luck to all going forward. Now, what else was I going to say? Still with the Aussie stuff. Jai Opetaia and David Benavidez. Now, I said the other day that that Jai should be, or he's fighting on December 6th. But in my opinion, I'm stronger more than ever. Jai and David Benavidez should now be on a collision course against each other. I think both of those guys should now be saying enough is enough with all the mucking around. Let's just fight each other, because both of them are having similar problems. Both of them, and there's reasons why they're both having similar problems. Jai cannot get a unification fight at cruiserweight. He cannot get a big fight with some of those guys like Tszyu Ramirez, and even guys like Bill Smith and that don't want a part of him. Badu Jack, and I don't blame him. Continually talks in the media about not being able to get his opportunity, and he'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, all that sort of stuff. And you have a similar situation in David Benavidez, who says exactly the same thing. Hey, I'm ready for Bivol and Benavidez and Canelo. I mean, he was on the Canelo tirade again this week. Don't know why he's continuing on with the Canelo thing. Canelo is, I'll get to him in a second, is almost sort of done, and he's actually obviously a division below Benavidez. But he continually talks about the same things as Jai Opetaia. When you watch them both get interviewed, and it's almost, hang on buddy, come here. It's almost like they're reading from the same script. Exactly the same issues, exactly the same attitude to the sport, just wanting to fight the best and prove themselves. And I just think it's time where they say, the managers or promoters, whatever it might be, say, you know what, or them themselves, say, you know what, enough of this bullshit. We're going to fight each other. And David Benavidez always gets up Canelo about, with moving up in weight and it shouldn't be an issue and this and that. Well, David, move up and fight Jai Opetaia. For me, that is the fight. As I said, they've got exactly the same issues, the problems, the same everything. It's almost a carbon copy of each other. They could be twins, these guys, when they do interviews. So I think the time is now for Mick Francis and Samson Lukovic to sit down and say, you know what, let's don't worry about all these, the Canelos and Bivos and Benavidez and all these types of guys. Let's fight each other and let's get it on. Let's create a super fight, or the super fight that both guys have been searching for. Let's just fight each other, because at the moment you look at both of the guys. You've got in the light heavyweights, Bivol is on his own course to what he wants to do. Well, it's probably changed a little bit now that Canelo's been beaten. But the Benavidez rematch, or the third fight, is there. But Bivol is fighting. He's got a fight coming up. Benavidez has got a fight coming up end of the year. Can't remember. Bivol's sort of on the shelf at the moment. But you would think that they will fight each other again at some stage. If not, Bivol might even have a fight in between. So what I'm getting at is that Bivol and Benavidez are pretty much off the table for probably at least the next 12 months. And obviously Benavidez has got his own fight with Yard at the end of the year as well. Then you've got Jai, who the Tszyu Ramirez fight, look, I know he's had the operation and is out of action, all that sort of stuff, is Tszyu, but it's pretty obvious that at this stage he doesn't really see Jai in his sights. Maybe that will change. And then you've got Badu Jack, who's obviously been inactive, but he's got his own rematch coming up as well. And apart from that, there's not really many people in the division. So I'll say it again, why not just put all this aside, forget about trying to chase unification fights and chase these other big fights and chasing whatever it is you are chasing, and just sit down with each other and just face off and let's go. Can you imagine when they turn the chairs around, they do the little one-on-one with, whether it be a Max Kellerman or someone there sitting in between them, interviewing them. Can you imagine the conversation between the two of them? Because both of them speak the same way. Jai's probably a little bit more spice in what he says. He gets really into the conversation. If he's asked a question, he'll give you an honest answer. And David Benavidez has been known to do that as well. But for me now, just let's go. Sign the fight. And then if Jai wins, go up to heavyweight. If David Benavidez wins, well, maybe he goes to heavyweight or he goes back down, whatever. But just that's the fight for me that makes the most sense for both guys right now. Because when I was watching David Benavidez's interview yesterday, I was thinking this, and I'd seen a couple of Jai's recent interviews as well. I thought this could almost be the same person. they say exactly the same things and have the same issues. So I don't know, let me know what you think. It just makes all the sense in the world now. There'll be no shenanigans, there'll be no, well, there might be with the management and who's the A side and B side and who gets all the money and all that sort of crap. I'm sure they'd work that out, because if they're true to the word, it's not necessarily all about the money and everything, it's about legacy and getting the big fights and everything else. So I'm sure the fighters, if they stand by what they've been saying for however long, with their stance in towards the boxing world, they would say to the managers and promoters and everything, just look, forget the bullshit, get a half-decent deal and let's go. That's the fight for me. And it just makes all the sense in the world. They seem to be the only two fighters in the world who just want to fight and don't give a shit about anything else. So what do you guys think about that? What else have we got there? Now, I was just talking about Canelo there. There's been a lot of talk about Canelo that maybe it's time for him to retire. Now, this is probably something that I hadn't even thought about. I saw Oscar De La Hoya mention the other day that he thinks Ronnie Shields should train Canelo. I don't think so. He said he should dump Rene, what's his name? Renaso, his trainer. But there's been more and more people saying that they think it's time for, including Ronnie Shields, by the way, saying that Canelo should retire. And while I don't think that's the case, I was the other day watching some highlights of Canelo's fights from even just a couple of years ago, and obviously his most recent fights against Crawford and School and just a couple of his other guys. And geez, it's amazing to see how far Canelo has fallen. I know Crawford really highlighted where he's at. Come here, buddy. There's a lot of dogs out on the field there. And is it maybe time for him? I did say after the fight with Crawford, his attitude was something I'd never seen before, in that he said, oh, well, I did my best. Sometimes it doesn't sort of work out. I'm paraphrasing there, but didn't really hurt like he probably had in previous losses. And he was like, yeah, you know what? Now, this is a guy that's worth apparently $800 million, so you can excuse him for probably losing a little bit of the fire. But after seeing some highlights of the Crawford fight the other day, and as I said, a couple of fights from a couple of years ago, geez, the movements, well, again, it's hard to look good against Crawford, but he looked like he had cement shoes on. He was slow. He's throwing one punch at a time. This is not the Canelo that we once knew. Now, while I don't think he will retire and should retire, as I said, it's amazing how far that he has dropped, has slowed down, and is just not the same fighter. Now, there's probably, well, I suppose the question's got to be asked, apart from a Crawford rematch, which I don't think he can win, what does he do next? Not much around for Canelo Alvarez at this stage. Now, if maybe Crawford vacates the 168-pound titles, would Canelo sort of drag himself down to that level where he's fighting for Crawford's leftovers and his vacant belts? I'm not sure. But what else is there? Does he go to 160 and roll the dice with the Benavidez or a Bivol again, or better beef? I don't think so. So it's an interesting time for Canelo Alvarez. What does he do? And I thought, as I said, I think he will fight and probably should fight again. But I'll tell you what, if he just said, you know what, I think I've had enough and I just can't do this anymore, and I'm not quite sure I've got the fire in the belly, I've earned a lot of money and I don't mind going out on a loss, I would excuse him for walking away. Yep. And I didn't think I would say that after watching the Crawford fight. I thought, oh, well, he was just beaten by a better fighter on the night. It's all good. He'll fight Crawford again. Win or lose, he'll make a packet, and who sort of cares? But yeah, I don't know. Well, as I said, I don't think he beats Crawford. He has any chance of beating Crawford again. Oh, sorry, not again, at all. I don't think he has a chance, because Crawford will only get better. He'll be more comfortable at the weight. He'll know all about Canelo and know exactly what he has, and I think he will make adjustments that makes the fight even easier for him. I don't think Canelo can make one adjustment that would benefit him in fighting Crawford. I don't think he can suddenly improve his ability to cut off the ring. I don't think he can, obviously he can't improve his speed, and I don't think he can improve his punch output, which he would need to beat Crawford. And sometimes just certain styles just can't beat other styles, and we've seen that numerous times in the sport. And I don't think he beats Crawford, but geez, what next for Canelo? It's a big, big question. And this is something we never thought we'd be saying before the Crawford fight. He had options everywhere, and now suddenly hasn't got much at all. So that's the thoughts on Canelo. But all right, guys, well, that's probably going to do it for today. I'm sure you'll have plenty of comments coming back at me about Canelo and Jai and David, and again, any thoughts on Tim and the change of team. So as always, guys, have a great day. It is, again, Friday, just so I remember. It's not Saturday, but we will talk to you tomorrow on the morning of the grand final, so it'll be all excitement everywhere. I'll have to do it early because I'm heading to work. We've got a big day at the pub for the game. But either way, I'll be back to talk some more boxing tomorrow. So, guys, have a great Friday. We'll catch you tomorrow.